The Quiet Grind Chronicles. Run 2. The Mushroom Fort in the Sky. Prologue. The world resets, washing away the failure of the mountain home. I awaken not in stone, but in shadow and spore. The air here is thick, humid, and alien. I have spawned into a vibrant contradiction. A mushroom fields biome, teeming with strange, towering fungal growths, yet suffocated by a dense, encroaching forest. It is beautiful, but the beauty is a mask. The silence of the quiet grind returns. There are no voices to guide me, only the crunch of leaves underfoot and the immediate pressing weight of survival. My previous life ended in the fire of battle. This one begins in the deep shade of the canopy. The goal remains absolute. Survive, build, and conquer. I turn my back on the void and the quiet grind continues. Chapter 1. The Leap of Faith. Survival in a dense forest requires resources and a plan. My first priority is the basics. I scour the perimeter and luck is on my side. I find sheep quickly and secure wool for bedding. I also come across some bulls and collect that precious source of food. It is during this initial hunt that I see it. A massive chasm in the earth, cutting through the land. And just beyond it, a gorgeous red mushroom towering toward the sky. It strikes me immediately as my inspiration point. To reach it, I have to take fate into my own hands. I find a narrow point in the chasm and sprint, leaping across the void. I land safely on the other side. This is where I will build. The sky begins to darken. I quickly collect dirt and more wood from the surrounding massive ancient trees, promising all the timber I will ever need. The ground near the base of the big mushroom is sunken, forming a natural hollow. I tunnel a bit below it, crafting a makeshift sleeping quarters with a dirt roof and a sturdy wood wall on the outside to keep the night at bay. The area feels secure, feels like a fresh start. On day 2, the commitment to build solidifies. I clean up the few high logs I missed and craft a chest to organize my building supplies and food. I need easier access, so I construct a basic land bridge across the narrow point of the chasm, securing my lifeline back to the forest. While crossing and hunting for more sheep, a very scary sound echoes nearby. I freeze in terror, looking around, but nothing materializes. The threat passes, or maybe it was an illusion, but the tension remains. I decide to vary my building materials, collecting birch wood to go along with the deep dark oak logs I had already gathered. Dangerously close to the chasm edge, I chop down a massive dark oak tree. My axe breaks mid-swing, forcing a rapid, adrenaline-fueled swap to a replacement to finish the job. Thankfully, I do not fall on this occasion. I immediately use the timber to develop my temporary shelter, adding texture to the one-block-high wood walls, alternating dark oak with birch. I aggressively landscape the area, clearing closer trees to increase visibility around the base, pushing back the lurking shadows. Night is drawing closer again, so I craft more wood tools, finding solace in the simple woodsmanship. Throughout this process, I have been throwing out my dried leaves, completely unaware that I could use them in the furnace as fuel. Everyone has to learn. I secure myself in the dirt underbelly of the mushroom again for the night, and cook a lot of meat in the furnace to keep hunger at bay and sleep. The hardcore world does not tolerate complacency, and I need to be fresh at dawn. Journal entry, Day 2. The chasm calls to me. I can see the glint of coal on its sheer walls, a resource I desperately need to hold back the night. I've built a small bridge, but the drop is still infinite. A few blocks separate me from ruin. I am building a castle in the sky with nothing but wood and hope. If I fall, there is no catching myself. The close call with the axe, the terrifying unknown sound, and the simple oversight of throwing away useful leaves remind me. This is a game of constant, brutal lessons. Chapter 2. The Chasm's Call and Crag's Gaze. The next day, the vertical grind continues, but I take a break to explore the area around my future home. I find a beautiful lake view and, more importantly, a less dangerous way into the chasm. I spend the early hours of day 3 navigating down, building crude cobblestone steps and a small dirt bridge connecting the high points of both chasm sides, securing a perimeter several blocks down from the rim. I find my first essential batch of coal and return home making much-needed torches, and sleep with the light finally warding off the shadows. The following morning, I build a furnace and head straight back to the chasm. I almost make the same mistake as Run 1, reaching for a wood pickaxe to chip away at a copper vein, but the painful lesson is remembered. Instead, I collect cobblestone for tools and head back to the base to craft a strong stone pickaxe. Wood tools are abandoned for efficiency. Returning to the chasm with fresh tools, I begin collecting copper. I explore the midpoint further, seeing where it leads to a deep, scary cave system where enemies are visible, so I wisely keep my distance. Better yet, I found 2 precious blocks of iron. Coal and copper are now plentiful, and I collect a hearty amount of both. I feel a growing sense of security. On my way out of the chasm, as night begins falling, I see a creeper shuffle into view. Simultaneously, a skeleton archer starts shooting. Hunched in a dark niche of the chasm wall, the skeleton archer, whom the underground dwellers whispered of as Crag the Cold, rasped to the creeper. They always go for the high ground and the iron. This one is fast, but distracted. Let him leave. I'll remember his retreat path. He'll come back for low-hanging fruit, and when he does, he will be mine. I manage to get out of the chasm, the sounds of unseen zombies turning my return trip into a panicked dash. Back at the base, I immediately develop my resources, smelting the copper and crafting a full set of copper armor, head to toe, and a copper sword. I feel secure, encased in metal. But in my exhaustion and pride over the new gear, I make the crucial mistake. I neglect to turn my 2 blocks of iron into a shield. This oversight would eventually cost me everything. Chapter 3: Vertical Ambition and the First Defense. The next morning, stepping out of the dirt bunker triggers a major battle. Spiders and several zombies are burning in the sun but still dangerously active. I cannot retreat, as my shelter has no door. My new copper sword slices through them, securing the perimeter, the battle tense but victorious. With the threat cleared, my base building begins in earnest. I am incredibly excited about the design. A platform just under the mushroom head, accessed by a spiral staircase. I keep the furnace busy, smelting more copper bars as I work. I use dark oak planks to spiral up the mushroom stem, carefully measuring where the floor will go. I use oak planks for the platform floor, building it out to a size that feels safe and functional. I upgrade to a copper axe, more speed, more efficiency. Night comes, but what a day of building it was. I feel fulfilled and excited by the progress. I quickly extend the dirt roof around my base and tuck in, making a bit more copper before sleep. The next morning, the forest is again thick with mobs. Instead of rushing out, I wait for the sun to do its lethal work. I won't risk my great building efforts on a silly mistake. Even so, I still have to battle a big zombie and a surprisingly tough little zombie. The tiny one catches me on fire, and a quick glance reveals a skeleton archer, Crag the Cold, shooting me from the edge of the clearing. I retreat and eat to regain precious health hearts, and watch as the sun seemingly scares Crag off. Little did I know that Crag continued to watch me nearby. That fool is building a nest. He thinks I'm simple. I missed the shot, but I know his angle of retreat now. He values that copper shell and his precious wood, but he will soon be mine. I continue the build excitedly, creating a protective rail system for the platform using trapdoors. I install them along the platform perimeter for safety and construct a cool trapdoor system around the entry point to the spiral stairs for security. The work is clean and satisfying. As night falls, I place my bed on the platform for the first time and enjoy the view as I drift off to sleep high above the lurking darkness. Chapter 4: The Lesson of Gravity. The next morning, I continue the build and am immediately attacked by a spider near the furnace below. It's a tense, close-quarters battle, but I win. I finish the perimeter of the platform with the trapdoors, securing a proper rail system for safety. I further remove trees in the surrounding area for increased visibility. It is during this torch placement that disaster strikes. I am experimenting with various lighting strategies for the build. My plan is to use torches just inside the mushroom cap, a few blocks up so only the light emanates out. As I step out onto the edge to place a block for leverage, the single momentary distraction is all it takes. The silence is broken by the rush of wind. A split-second misstep causes me to plummet from the safety of the high mushroom cap, the ground rushing up to meet me with terrifying speed. I hit the forest floor with a sickening crunch. The screen flashes red. My heart stops. I stare at the health bar. Half a heart. It was devastatingly scary and sudden. Thankfully, I am not attacked at the bottom. Crag must have been somewhere else. He sure missed a great opportunity. I scramble back up to the platform, shaking, and immediately settle on a final lighting design. I work hard into the night on the final touch-up, installing the hidden torches just inside the mushroom rim. While I work, zombies are making noise below, stalking the night. I go to sleep, the light a comforting barrier against the sounds. Gravity, the quietest killer, had almost claimed me. Chapter 5. Digging in and Crag's Patience. The next morning, I battle a zombie on fire and a spider near the base. They fall quickly to my copper sword. I figured out a light solution for the base of the mushroom, a slab under each corner with 2 torches, and then 1 slab in the middle of each side with a single torch. It works great, pushing the shadows back. I move my chests, crafting table, and furnace up to the high platform and reorganize my precious collection of resources. I still haven't used the iron yet. Such a tragic mistake. I then start developing the basement in earnest, digging the floor a bit deeper. I hit some cobblestone, indicating solid progress below the mud. I awake the next morning to yet another engagement. A zombie and a creeper near the base. I land several frantic blows on the creeper before defeating it before it can explode. I then finish off the zombie, and things calm down. I continue developing the basement. The rain starts. It's a cold, bitter downpour that turns the forest floor into mud. The visibility drops sharply. I collect some more wood for a final perimeter touch-up, ignoring the primal urge to retreat to my high, dry platform. The greed of the builder takes over. Chapter 6. The Deadly Duel in the Rain. The sun vanishes, swallowed by gray clouds and the dense canopy. The rain falls in sheets, masking sound, blurring vision. I am outside, near the base of the tree fort, collecting the final wood needed for the basement walls. The attack begins not with a noise, but with pain. An arrow thuds into my shoulder, knocking me sideways. I spin around, scanning the gloom. There, weaving between the dark trunks of the forest, is a skeleton archer. The white of its bones stands out starkly against the wet bark. It is Crag the Cold. Crag has the initiative. I raise my copper sword and charge, closing the distance. I land a solid blow, the metal connecting with bone. The skeleton rattles back. Thwack. A second arrow catches me. My health drops. I strafe, dodging a third shot that whistles past my ear. I close in again, landing a second strike. Crag is damaged, but he is relentless. He retreats, using the trees as cover, forcing me to chase him into the darker part of the woods. The rain is deafening now. I am low on health, the memory of the fall still fresh in my mind. I need cover. I need a moment to eat, to regenerate. I duck behind a thick oak tree, breaking the line of sight. I press my back against the bark, breathing hard, waiting for Crag to round the corner so I can ambush him. I hold the sword ready. I listen for the rattle of bones. Crag, the tactical hunter from the chasm, is not mindless. He circled wide, finding a gap in the trees, a specific, brutal angle that exposes my hiding spot from the side. I hear the bowstring draw one last time. I turn to pop out, to engage, to finish the fight, but the arrow is already in the air. The impact is final. My health hearts vanish instantly. The copper sword drops into the mud. Epilogue. The rain continues to fall, indifferent to the tragedy, washing over the unfinished basement and the silent tree fort above. Game over. The screen fades, the run that survived the terrifying fall, that tamed the mushroom biome, that built a fortress in the sky, ends not with a bang, but with a calculated shot in the cold, bitter rain. Crag the Cold had kept his word. The lesson is written in the wet earth. Environmental cover is a lie. A tree is not a shield. In the face of a ranged threat, hesitation is death. The lack of a simple shield, the iron I was too proud to use, sealed my fate. I built high to avoid the dangers of the ground, but I died in the mud. The mushroom fortress stands empty, a monument to a run that had so much promise. The copper sword lies rusting, and the untouched iron sits sadly in the chests high above. I underestimated Crag the Cold. I underestimated the rain. The quiet grind demands more than just building skills. It demands tactical perfection. Run 2 is over. The next world awaits. The quiet grind must continue.